Aussie girl makeup has taken over social media. And I, for one, think it is long overdue. I have been following two specific Australian makeup artists since 2017. Their names are Emma Chen and Tennille Jai. I began following them because I absolutely loved their makeup aesthetic. The warm bronze complexion, minimal eyeshadow, feathery brows, flushed cheeks that just look so flattering and beautiful on every single model they would apply makeup to. And now you have a lot of American beauty content creators like myself really embracing the look. Unfortunately, what you don't see a lot or ever is this Aussie girl makeup demonstrated on a mature face. I'm going to attempt to recreate this look right here on my 52, almost 53-year-old face. I will be 53 in May. And thankfully, Tennille shared an Instagram reel demonstrating exactly how she achieved this look and exactly what products she used. So I'm going to be referring to that reel as I do my makeup, and I do have the majority of the products that she used, so I am going to attempt to keep this tutorial to the exact products that she used. I also purposefully selected this model because she has similar coloring to myself. She starts off by applying the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. For foundation, Tennille used the Dior Backstage. But in the video, she does say that she mixed it with the One Size Base Thinner. The model in this video has perfect young skin. I do not. I also have very, very oily skin. So I can wear this foundation on my natural makeup days, but it doesn't give me quite enough coverage to meet my comfort level. So instead of mixing it with a base thinner, I'm actually going to put just a drop of a little bit more of a full coverage oil controlling foundation. Because if I just wear this alone, unfortunately, it's not going to last all day on me, and I've got things to do today. So on the back of my hand, I am taking a little bit of the Backstage foundation and adding a drop of the Tier Mask Fit liquid foundation. And then I'm going to mix it on my hand. And then I will be using mostly my Tennille Jai brushes. This was her volume 1 brush set. At the time I purchased it a couple of years ago, it was available on Revolve. But then once the tariffs hit, all of her products unfortunately were removed from the Revolve website. She now, I believe, has a US warehouse, or at least on her website, it says that you won't be charged any custom duties or I assume tariffs if you order from her website. Hopefully, maybe Revolve will start carrying them again. I really want to get my hands on her volume 2 set. But for now, I'm using the older set. And she does start with foundation and stipples that onto the skin. You know, I've never tried this combination before, and I really like it. I never thought to mix the two together. But this is looking really, really beautiful. And yes, it's a little bit darker than my natural skin color, but we are going for a very bronzy look, remember. So I will be taking it down my neck and my chest. When you see the after, I will look even. What you won't see with Aussie girl makeup or Aussie woman makeup is heavy foundation. So I am trying my best to make this not look heavy, but still give me coverage. And then as always, I take a sponge and pick up any excess foundation. Then after this step, Tennille did use actually, I think she used it before. Let me look at the video. Yes, before the foundation, she did use a glowy product from Dior. However, I have very oily skin and I don't need any extra glow. So whenever you're watching these types of tutorials, be mindful of the skin type and age of the person whose tutorial you're following and tweak it to your personal needs. Then for concealer, she used House Labs. I looked everywhere and could not find my House Labs concealer. Ironically, I just got my entire beauty room. I paid 2 organizers just 1 week ago a lot of money to reorganize my beauty room and label everything, and they did a great job. But believe it or not, I still can't find things. It's taking me some time to figure out where they've put everything, even though things are labeled. But I digress. I'm going to be using one of my favorite concealers of all time for mature skin. It is pricey, but I think it's worth it. It is from Sarah Creel, and I'm just gonna put a dot here, 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 and here. And then to blend that out, I'm using a brush from BK Beauty. And I'm going to put a little bit on the lid as well to even out the discoloration in that area. And I will have all of the products and the shade names I used listed and linked in the description box. Going a little bit heavier on this side because my circles are darker on this side. Then from here, she goes into her most popular product, which is the Bronzer. It is a bronzer contour in one. I have the shade Latte, but it comes in, I think, like 6 or 7 shades. I'll put a photo of the different shades up on the screen. Tennille uses it in all of her makeup tutorials, or the glams she does, photo shoots that she does, the models that she works on. And from what I've seen, a lot of her peers, her fellow Australian makeup artists, use this product all the time as well. Now I'm pretty sure there was a brush in this set for the Bronzer, but I don't know what happened to mine. So I'm gonna use my IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe brush number 7. I'm gonna swirl into the product and then just tap this on. We are going to bronze up the skin, and I do notice that this is the motion that Tennille uses to apply this product, a stippling motion, or sort of like a stipple swipe. And then she also uses it on a thin brush like this to contour the nose. And then she takes it up into the crease of the eye as well. And then she also places it above the upper lip and the lower lip. And then lastly, she also places it along the lower lash line of the eye. Then it appears like she sort of touched up the foundation underneath the contour. Next, she took the Westman Atelier blush in the shade Petal and dusted that onto the cheeks, right in this area right here. Of course, where you apply your blush is going to be dependent on your face shape. My face is oval, so I can put my blush right on the apples of the cheeks and blend it out towards my temples. Then it also looks like she dusts it a little bit on the rest of the face too. Okay, this is where we need to change things up, because as you can see here, she takes an eye pencil, one of her own branded eye pencils that is not out yet. So with that pencil, she carves out the shape of the eyeshadow. The problem with doing that on mature eyelids is that our lid skin is not taut. Our skin moves around. There are folds. So if we try to take a thinner pencil like that and carve out, especially when you have hooded eyes like myself, it becomes very challenging and can get very messy very quickly. So I'm going to attempt to do it using a jumbo pencil. This one is from NYX. It's in the shade Frappe. As I was saying, she sort of carves out the shape first, and then takes a brush and blends it out. And once again, because my eyes are hooded, I want to make sure to take it up a little bit higher so that you can see the shadow when my eyes are open. She also placed some in the inner corner of the eye. And then she kind of just goes back and forth until she achieves the depth of color she is happy with. And then she tightlines, and I'm not sure if she uses the same pencil or a different pencil. I prefer to tightline with a smaller pencil. This one is from Sarah Creel. And the video went kind of fast, but I think she also tightlines the bottom and then smudges it out. So that is what I am doing as well. I'm also taking the pencil and smudging it, picking it up on my brush and smudging it above or on the upper lash line as well. It's hard to tell what she's doing each step because it does go so fast. Then she takes a bronzer. In this particular video, she used the MAC Mineralize Skinfinish. I don't know exactly what shade she used, but I'm going to use medium dark because, well, that's the one I have. And using a crease brush, I'm going back and forth and basically setting that cream eyeliner pencil. When it comes to Aussie girl makeup, the eyes are very minimal. And I noticed that she takes it really far into this area, like the side of the nose, almost like it's blending into the nose contour. And then she also uses this brush from her set and runs it along the lower lash line. Then for the tear duct, she used the liquid version of the Rare Beauty highlight in the shade Enlighten. I don't have the liquid version, so I'm going to use the powder version. She also appears to put some down the bridge of the nose and on the Cupid's bow. She curls the lashes and applies mascara. Personally, I prefer to tightline after I've curled my lashes. I feel like I can just get into that area better once the lashes are out of the way. I don't know what mascara she used. I'm just using my current favorite, which is the MAC Stack Elevated. Once the eyes were pretty much done, she used this Huda Beauty liquid blush in Watermelon Pop. And then she seemed to touch up the eye with a pencil again, like sort of darkening the lash lines and the outer edges. I don't know, there's just something about the pencils, at least the ones that I have, that I just don't love to use. I feel like it just makes things more difficult for me. So I'm gonna cheat and just use a powder. This is the Patrick Ta eye palette, and I'm just mixing the two deepest shades and running that along my upper lash lines and lower lash lines. And because I feel like my hooded eyes look better with a little bit of definition on the outer corners, a little bit of a darker definition on the outer corners, I'm going to do the same thing, picking up those two shades and then just patting that on the outer corners and then blending what's left onto the rest of my eye. This is what I mean by adjusting the tutorial to suit your own needs and preferences. Now, in case you're wondering, where's the powder? Now comes the powder. She does use one of my personal favorites, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless, and sets under the eyes and through the T-zone. Because I have oily skin, I do like to set pretty much everywhere, my entire face. And then she lines the lips with one of her new lip liners that she has coming out eventually. Since I obviously don't have that, I'm using Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine. I would say that the majority of the Australian makeup artists that I watch use Makeup Forever lip liners in Anywhere Caffeine or wherever walnut, but they're typically using this version, the wooden version. I prefer the extreme formula. I just find that they're creamier and they last longer on my lips. So this is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Extreme Pencil in Anywhere Caffeine. And then for lips, she used a Dior lip gloss. I actually don't have that, so I'm going to use one that I saw another Australian makeup artist use on a model, which is the Tower 28 Pistachio. Yeah, I think it looks pretty close. I just noticed that nowhere in this tutorial does she do the brows. I've got to do my brows. I always begin by brushing up my brows. And then I'm going to use the Patrick Ta Brow Pencil in Blonde. It's one of my favorites. I was introduced to this brow wax, Bay Brow, which I have mentioned in several of my videos over the past year. I buy it on Revolve, and it is truly one of the best brow waxes I have ever tried. So you want to take your spoolie, dip it into the wax, and then brush up the brows. Now this next step is one you almost never see me do, but Tennille and Emma and a lot of the other Australian makeup artists add faux freckles. So I purchased the exact product that Tennille uses. It is the Revlon Color Stay Semi-Permanent Brow Ink. I purchased the soft brown, but after I ordered it, I looked at some of her other videos and I think she uses dark brown, maybe, for the freckles. But I bought the soft brown, so we're going to use it. I have only ever made one other attempt at the faux freckle, and I don't know, it didn't look that great. But for the sake of following along with the tutorial, using as many of the exact products that I can, we're going in. I have a feeling she would definitely touch up my mole here and then add to where I already have some freckles, I guess, some spots. I know she says to tap them in immediately, don't let them dry. This is supposed to give you that look of, you know, natural, sun-kissed skin. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad faux freckles weren't a thing when I was a working makeup artist, because clearly I'm not very good at it. Yeah, I don't know if I've done this right. Okay, I tried. Then it was time for lashes. Tennille does use lash clusters from a company called Own, O-W-N, but they do not sell them, as far as I can tell, anywhere here in the States. And I could order from Australia. I just don't want to pay the very high shipping, especially when we have such great lashes just on Amazon. These clusters are fabulous. I am going to pop a couple of these on, fix my hair, and come back and show you the finished look. All right, I think I did a pretty decent job at this recreation. I can't wait for the I love it all except the lip liner comments. The only thing I'm not so sure about is the freckles. I need to practice that if I'm going to continue to do it. And although I'm getting some glow from the blush, I do think I want to add a little bit more cheek color. Yes, cheek color. I know I have blush blindness, and a little highlighter. So because I have such oily skin, I do like to set most of my cream and liquid products with powders. So I think the most similar blush shade to this one is this Kosas Blushes Life in the shade Thrill. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that in this area. And then I know a lot of Aussie makeup artists like to use the Dior highlight palette. So I'm going to take just like a dusting of all of them, why not? And pop that onto my cheekbones. And a little bit underneath the brow. and a little bit on the collarbones and shoulder. As I mentioned earlier, all of the products will be listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as tagged through YouTube Shopping if available. I will also do my best to include more affordable drugstore options underneath that product. So I'm going to go through my stash and see if I can find a comparable drugstore blush to the Westman Atelier, to the Dior Backstage. I would like to thank Tennille Jai, Emma Chen, Kelsey Bain, Faces by Jen for their inspiration. I will have all of their Instagram handles listed in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider doing so. I do upload new videos at least twice per week. You can also find me over on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. My username is the same on all platforms. It's Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.